Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you could save you years of frustration, heartbreak, and wasted energy. We all want to believe that people are good, and most are, but some people will drain your energy, manipulate you, and make you question your own worth, and you might not even realize it until it's too late. Today, I'm giving you the 8 undeniable signs of bad people so you can protect yourself and take back control of your life. Let's go. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous traits of bad people: manipulation. You might think you'd spot a manipulator from a mile away, someone who's scheming, obvious, and calculating. But here's the truth. The best manipulators are the ones you don't see coming. They don't show up waving red flags. They make you second guess yourself, doubt your own reality, and even apologize for things that aren't your fault. And before you know it, you're trapped in their game. So how does it happen? It starts subtly. Maybe it's a small comment that makes you feel like you overreacted. You tell them something upset you and they respond with, "Wow, you're so sensitive." Or you catch them in a lie, and instead of admitting it, they turn the tables. You're just being paranoid. Suddenly you're questioning yourself instead of them. That's gaslighting, and it's one of the most powerful tools manipulators use. They distort reality so much that you start believing their version over your own. Another way they manipulate you: guilt tripping. Ever had someone make you feel bad for setting a boundary? You say no to something and suddenly they're acting like you've hurt them. "I guess I just thought you cared about me, but I see how it is." Now, instead of feeling confident in your decision, you feel like the bad guy. Manipulators know exactly how to press your emotional buttons. They'll use your kindness, your loyalty, and your desire to be a good person against you. They make you feel like saying no is wrong, even when protecting your peace should be a priority. And let's talk about blame shifting. This one is sneaky because it makes you feel responsible for things that have nothing to do with you. Imagine confronting someone about something they did wrong, but instead of owning up to it, they flip the conversation. "If you weren't always nagging me, I wouldn't have lied to you." Or, "You're upset? What about that one time you made a mistake?" Before you know it, you're defending yourself instead of holding them accountable. That's not normal. That's manipulation. Then there's withholding affection and approval, which is emotional blackmail at its finest. A manipulator knows that humans crave validation, especially from people we care about. So they use it as a tool. When you do what they want, they shower you with love, compliments, and attention. But the moment you step out of line, silence, coldness, disapproval. This conditions you to seek their approval at any cost, even if it means betraying your own needs. And here's the scary part. Manipulators don't always do this consciously. Some people have been manipulating for so long that it's just their natural way of controlling others. But whether they're aware of it or not, the result is the same. You feel powerless, confused, and trapped in a dynamic that benefits them and drains you. So how do you break free? The first step is recognizing the pattern. The second step, stop explaining yourself. You don't owe manipulative people endless justifications for your feelings, your boundaries, or your decision. If you feel uncomfortable, that's enough. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to argue about it. Just walk away. The moment you stop letting manipulators control your emotions is the moment you take your power back. You deserve relationships that make you feel seen, respected, and valued, not ones that leave you doubting your own reality. Bad people have a way of making everything about themselves, and one of the biggest signs you're dealing with one is that they always play the victim. No matter what happens, it's never their fault. Ever. They have a long list of reasons why life is unfair to them, and they are always pointing the finger at someone else. If they lose a job, it's because their boss was out to get them. If they break up with someone, their ex was toxic and crazy. If they fail at something, the world was just against them. They refuse to take responsibility for anything that happens in their life, and this pattern is exhausting for the people around them. At first, you might feel bad for them. Their stories might it sound convincing. After all, we all go through hard times, and sometimes things really aren't our fault. But the difference between a regular person and someone who is toxic is that a regular person learns from their mistakes. They reflect, they grow, and they take responsibility for their part in things. But someone who always plays the victim, they never do. They repeat the same mistakes over and over, and every time they have a new excuse for why it wasn't their fault. The scary thing is that they truly believe their own story. They see themselves as helpless, as if life is just happening to them and they have no control. And when you spend too much time around someone like this, they will try to pull you into that same mindset. What makes these people especially dangerous is how they use their victimhood to manipulate others. They know that if they act hurt or betrayed, they can make you feel guilty even if you did nothing wrong. Maybe you set a boundary and suddenly they're acting like you abandoned them. Maybe you called them out on their behavior and now they're crying, saying they feel attacked. It's always about how they feel, never about what they did. This is emotional manipulation, and it keeps you stuck in a cycle of constantly trying to fix things that aren't even your fault. Another major problem with these people is that they drain your energy. They are emotional vampires. Every conversation with them is about their struggles, their pain, their unfair life. They will rant about how no one understands them, how everyone treats them badly, how nothing ever goes right for them. And if you try to offer solutions, they don't want them. They want attention, not advice. Because fixing the problem means taking responsibility, and that's the one thing they refuse to do. So instead, they stay stuck and they make sure you stay stuck with them. And let's not ignore the fact that these people are masters of rewriting history. If you were to talk to their ex, their old boss, or anyone they've cut off, you'd hear a very different version of events. Because in their story, they are always the hero, and everyone else is the villain. They conveniently leave out the parts where they were toxic, dishonest, or selfish. They erase their own mistakes and paint themselves as innocent. And the worst part, if you challenge them, if you remind them of their own actions, they'll either deny it completely or twist it to make themselves the victim again. These people will wreck your sense of reality if you let them. You'll find yourself questioning if you were too harsh, if maybe you should have been more understanding, if maybe they really are just unlucky. But here's the truth. Bad things don't just happen to these people all the time. They create the mess and then they act like they had nothing to do with it. So how do you deal with someone like this? You stop playing their game. You stop feeding into their drama. You stop feeling guilty for their choices. You recognize that their problems are not your responsibility to fix. The moment you step back, the moment you stop giving them the reaction they want, they lose their power over you, and that's when you finally get your energy, your peace, and your clarity back. Bad people are often experts at pretending to be good. They know how to charm you, how to make you feel special, how to make you believe they are kind and caring. But here's the catch. They are only nice when things are going their way. The moment you disagree with them, challenge them, or fail to meet their expectations, their entire personality shifts. Suddenly, the warmth disappears, the kindness vanishes. They become cold, distant, or even aggressive. That's not normal behavior. That's a sign of someone who doesn't actually care about you. They care about controlling you. First, it's confusing. 1 minute, they're laughing with you, telling you how much they appreciate you, making you feel like you matter. And then, in an instant, they turn into a completely different person. Maybe you said no to something they wanted. Maybe you called them out on something they did wrong. Maybe you simply had a different opinion. Whatever the reason, their reaction is way more intense than it should be. They get angry, defensive, or give you the silent treatment. It feels like a punishment. And that's exactly what it is. They want you to feel uncomfortable so that next time you'll think twice before standing up to them. This kind of behavior is a major red flag because healthy, good-hearted people don't flip their emotions like a switch. They don't withdraw love and kindness just because you have a difference of opinion. They don't punish you for having boundaries. When someone is only kind to you when it benefits them, but turns distant or hostile the second they don't get their way, that is a form of manipulation. It means their kindness was never real in the first place. It was a tool to keep you under their control. One of the most dangerous things about this pattern is that it keeps you walking on eggshells. Over time, you start to anticipate their reactions. You hesitate before saying what you really think. You hold back from expressing your needs. You start doing things just to avoid upsetting them. That's not a relationship. That's emotional control. And it's exhausting. The worst part is that these people often gaslight you into believing it's your fault. If you call them out on their behavior, they'll say things like, I don't know what you're talking about, or you're being dramatic. They'll act like you're imagining the whole thing, making you feel like you're the problem. But you're not crazy. You're not being too sensitive. You're noticing something real. Someone who is only good to you when it's convenient for them is not actually good to you. Another sign of this behavior is how they treat people they don't need anymore. Pay close attention to how they talk about their ex-friends, ex-partners, or former coworkers. Were they best friends with someone only to suddenly turn on them and start talking badly about them? Do they have a pattern of cutting people off the moment they no longer serve a purpose? If they do, that means they never truly valued those relationships in the first place. It was always about what they could get out of them. And if they've done it to others, they will do it to you. People like this thrive on control, not connection. They don't build relationships based on mutual respect. They build them based on power. And the moment you stop playing by their rules, they show you their true colors. That's why it's so important to pay attention to how people handle disagreement, criticism, and boundaries. Do they listen? Do they respect your feelings, or do they immediately turn cold and distant? That reaction tells you everything you need to know about whether someone is truly kind or just pretending to be. Protect yourself from people who only treat you well when it's easy for them. The right people will be consistent. They will respect you even when you disagree. They will still be kind even when they don't get their way. Those are the people who deserve your time and energy. The ones who switch on and off, walk away. Because real relationships don't come with conditions. Bad people don't build relationships, they build transactions. They don't see people as individuals with feelings, needs, and boundaries. They see them as resources to be used. And the worst part, they're often so good at it that you don't even realize you're being used until it's too late. These people show up when they need something, but when you need them, they're nowhere to be found. They don't care about mutual effort or genuine connection. They care about what you can do for them. At first, they make you feel special. They might shower you with attention, act like they're deeply interested in your life, and even do small favors to make you feel like the relationship is balanced. But over time, a pattern starts to emerge. They only call when they need something. Maybe they always need advice, money, a ride, or emotional support, but they never check in on you unless it benefits them. When you do something for them, they act like it's expected, like you owe it to them. But the moment you need a favor, suddenly they're too busy, too overwhelmed, or they simply disappear. The tricky thing about this kind of person is that they often pretend to be helpless. They'll make you feel like you're the only one who can save them, the only person they can turn to. And because you're a good person, you step up, you don't want to let them down. But the truth is, they're not as helpless as they make themselves seem. They just don't want to put in the effort to solve their own problems because they know you'll do it for them. And let's talk about how they react when you start pulling back. The moment you stop being so available, they'll try to make you feel guilty. They might remind you of all the good times you had, even though those good times were always centered around their needs. They might act hurt, accusing you of abandoning them or being selfish. But where was that concern when you needed them? Where was that friendship when you were struggling? These people are experts at making you feel bad for prioritizing yourself, even though they never prioritized you in the first place. Another thing to look out for is how they never return the favor. If you listen to them vent for hours, they'll gladly take up your time. But if you try to talk about your problems, they'll suddenly lose interest or change the subject. If you support them in their goals, they'll take it without a second thought. But if you ask for their support, they'll act like it's too much to ask. This is because they were never in the relationship for you. They were in it for what they could get. Sometimes these people don't just use you, they use everyone around them. They might have a rotating list of people they depend on, constantly burning bridges and finding new helpers whenever someone catches on to their behavior. If you notice that they have a history of broken friendships, cut off relationships, or people who no longer speak to them, pay attention. That's not an accident. That's a pattern. And what makes it even more frustrating is that they often act entitled. They don't see the help you give as kindness. They see it as something they deserve. They never say thank you, never acknowledge the sacrifices you've made, never take a moment to appreciate your generosity. And that's because deep down, they don't see you as a person with your own needs and boundaries. They see you as a tool. And once a tool stops being useful, they'll toss it aside. So what can you do when you realize you're being used? You stop giving without receiving. You stop answering every call. You stop bending over backward for someone who wouldn't do the same for you. You start recognizing that real relationships are about mutual support, not one-sided effort. If someone only values you when they need something, they don't actually value you. And the moment you stop letting them take advantage of you, you take back your power. Bad people have a way of making you feel small. They don't lift you up, they tear you down. And they do it in a way that's so subtle, so underhanded, that you don't even realize it's happening until your confidence is completely shattered. These people don't want you to succeed because your success makes them feel insecure. They can't stand to see you happy, thriving, or growing because it reminds them of everything they're not. So instead of celebrating you, they find ways to undermine you. It starts with small comments. You share good news, and instead of being excited for you, they brush it off. That's nice, but it's not that big of a deal. Or you tell them about a goal you're working toward, and they roll their eyes. You really think you can do that? They disguise their negativity as just being honest or keeping it real. But the truth is, they don't want you to believe in yourself. They want you to doubt yourself. Because if you doubt yourself, you'll stay stuck. And that's exactly what they want. These people also love to compare you to others, always in a way that makes you feel like you're not good enough. If you accomplish something, they'll point out someone who did it better. If you're proud of yourself, they'll remind you of someone who is ahead of you. It's never about encouragement. It's about making sure you never feel satisfied with yourself. Because the moment you start believing in yourself, the moment you realize your potential, you outgrow them. And they can't handle that. And let's talk about how they react when you achieve something big. A true friend, a good person, will be happy for you. They'll cheer you on, support you, and make you feel like your success is a win for both of you. But a toxic person, they'll go quiet, they'll change the subject, they'll suddenly act distant, or worse, they'll try to one-up you. If you tell them about a promotion, they'll immediately start talking about how much money someone else is making. If you share an accomplishment, they'll downplay it by mentioning something bigger. It's not about celebrating you. It's about making sure the attention stays off of you and on to them. These people also love to disguise insults as jokes. They'll say something hurtful and then laugh it off. Wow, you actually look nice for once. Or I can't believe you managed to pull that off. If you call them out, they'll say you're being sensitive, but deep down, you know it wasn't a joke. It was a way to chip away at your confidence while still being able to deny it. And over time, those little comments add up. You start doubting yourself. You start questioning whether you're really as capable, smart, or talented as you thought. And that's exactly what they want. Another way they try to break you down is by making you feel like you're never doing enough. No matter what you accomplish, they'll find a way to make you feel like it's not impressive. If you work hard, they'll say you're trying too hard. If you take a break, they'll say you're being lazy. It's a game you can never win because the goal isn't to give you useful feedback. It's to keep you insecure and dependent on their validation. And here's the worst part. Sometimes these people are the ones closest to you, a friend, a coworker, even a family member. That's what makes it so dangerous because you trust them. You believe that maybe they're just looking out for you, but deep down, something feels off because every time you're around them, you leave feeling smaller, less confident, and more unsure of yourself. That's not normal. That's a sign that someone is trying to keep you stuck so that they can feel better about themselves. You deserve to be around people who lift you up, people who celebrate your wins, people who push you forward instead of holding you back. The moment you recognize someone is trying to keep you small, you stop letting them have power over you. And when you finally believe in yourself, when you finally step into your confidence, that's when you become unstoppable. Bad people are experts at stirring up drama. They thrive on chaos, conflict, and negativity, and if none exists, they'll create it. It's not just that they like gossip or occasionally complain. It's that they seem uncomfortable when things are peaceful. The moment life starts feeling calm, they find a way to disrupt it. And if you spend enough time around them, you'll notice that their life is always full of problems. Always. There's always someone they're mad at, always some crisis they're dealing with, always some new person who has betrayed them. But here's the truth. The common denominator in all their drama is them. At first, you might feel sorry for them. They'll tell you long, dramatic stories about how they've been wronged, how no one understands them, how they're always the victim, but pay attention. Notice how their stories always seem to paint them as innocent while making everyone else look bad. They never take responsibility for anything. Every failed friendship, every broken relationship, every conflict, it's never their fault. It's always because the other person was jealous or toxic or fake. But how is it possible that everyone around them is a problem? It's not. The problem is them. These people have a way of dragging you into their chaos, even if you want nothing to do with it. You might start off as just a listener, someone they vent to, but before you know it, they're pulling you into their conflicts, trying to get you to take sides, making you feel like you have to choose between them and someone else. They'll say things like, I just don't know who I can trust anymore. That's a test. What they really mean is, are you on my side? And if you don't agree with them completely, they'll start treating you like the enemy too. One of the biggest signs of a person who thrives on drama is that they never let things go. A healthy person might get upset, process it, and move on. But these people, they hold on to every little thing. They bring up old arguments, keep grudges alive, and refuse to forgive. They'll remind you of something someone did years ago as if it happened yesterday. Why? Because they need to fuel their negativity. Peace isn't an option for them. They also love to twist words and manipulate situations. If you confront them, they'll deny, deflect, or twist the story so that somehow they're the victim. They'll say things like, I can't believe you'd say that to me. when they were the one who started the issue in the first place. Or they'll act like you're being dramatic, even though they were the one who escalated things. They thrive on confusion because confusion keeps them in control. The more tangled up you get in their drama, the more power they have over you. Another big red flag is how they talk about other people. If someone is constantly gossiping, bad-mouthing others, or sharing private details that were told to them in confidence, that's a huge warning sign. Because if they're talking about others like that, you can be sure they're talking about you the same way. These people don't respect loyalty or trust. They only care about entertainment. And to them, drama is entertainment. They're not just sharing information, they're enjoying the chaos. Being around someone like this is mentally exhausting. At first, it might seem exciting. Their life is full of stories, emotions, and intensity. But over time, it wears you down. You start dreading their phone calls because you know it's going to be another rant about how someone did them wrong. You start feeling anxious around them because their energy is so negative. And worst of all, you start getting caught up in drama that has nothing to do with you. Before you know it, you're wasting time, energy, and peace of mind on problems that aren't even